Welcome everyone to episode 68 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufresnoy.
Hey, everybody.
And Shelby White.
How are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. We have so many games to
we've
talk
already
about.
talked. I already asked how you were doing when I first saw you.
No, I don't want to hear that.
I've seen you for 3 hours already.
Shelby asked first. We have so many games to talk about. Dan hasn't been on the podcast in a while.
I know, I missed you guys, and I just want to say, seriously, last episode was incredible. Yeah, last episode was incredible, and I just want to say I'm really glad that we could talk about important things, because as people that enjoy this industry, you know, the only way to change things, you know, in a larger society is in your community. So, you know,
yeah, it's good.
I'm glad that we talk about those things.
I'm glad that we did that too. I wish you could have been here for it.
Me too.
Obviously, you know, we missed you in that conversation.
I had a loss, so thank you for.
No, absolutely. I mean, things happen.
Glad to be back.
Right. Glad you're back.
Good to be back. How are you, Dan? How's everything?
Doing great. Thanks for asking, Dan. Let's start with a big game that all three of us played. This is, you know, over a month old now, but on the last episode, I talked about Control a little bit. Mm-hmm. Dan, you finished Control?
I beat the whole thing.
Shelby, you're pretty deep in.
I feel like I'm pretty deep in. I don't know for sure. I didn't like.
So before we talk specifics, and we're not going to spoil a lot of stuff, I just want to know where you're at. Give me some vagaries as to what you just did, your last major event.
So I just met a very important person who is in a glass box right now.
Got it.
Yeah,
just met that person.
Yeah. So you're more than halfway.
Yeah. All right,
you might
cool.
be.
I feel like I've been grinding a little bit. Like I've only been able to play this week, but I played like the past like 3 nights. So I've been trying to like grind through it.
Cool.
All right. So let's jump into Control, because on the last episode, for those of you that listened, I was kind of just like didn't want to say anything because I'm like, how do I talk about this game when there's no one to bounce anything off of? Yeah. But do you guys like this game as much as I do? Because I love this game.
This might seriously might be like top 5 game of the year. I
really enjoy this game a lot, because obviously going out and trying to do different things, stuff like that. I love trying to, like, I've been grinding through it a little bit, but like I can't help you. There's so many collectibles where you got to read through it.
Oh yeah,
love it.
Every time you get one of those, you have to read it.
So fleshed out, just the audio logs
they're
and just
everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many.
You get like all so good.
Yeah. There's so many, like I keep getting trophy after trophy, like collected 120 things, collected 130 things, you know, like.
That whole, it's just so fleshed out, just like what, you know, the Bureau of Control is, and it's just like the most interesting. Yeah. And that's what keeps me, you know, with the collectibles and all that stuff. Yeah. That's why the game takes so long, because you're just so interested about what this is.
Spending so much time, like I pick up a thing, and even in the heat of battle, I'm just like, all right, I kind of want to read this real quick.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and you don't have to. I mean, you could probably just go through the game, you know, just do the story, but I just feel like this it's just so fleshed out what this world is and what this bureau does, that it's just that's why I love it. It's like just the most interesting. It's like Stranger Things season 1, just like how I'm just so
drawn to it.
Yeah, it's just like so interesting and so weird,
because it's not a normal thing. It's not like something you wouldn't go outside and see it. Like you talk about something, a nonfiction act, you know, like this isn't a nonfiction act, you know, like this is something you've never seen before, so you're drawn in. You're like, I want to know more. You know? And what I really like is that, as you were just saying, you don't have to read all these things. They give you enough story to get through it and to understand everything. You know, like I feel like the beginning of the game, they kind of explain things. If you get it, you get it. But if you want to know more, you just keep on reading.
If you're playing this game and you're not reading all those things, then this game probably isn't for you. Like,
it's for the people that are into.
Because you see something and you're like, oh my god, I need to grab that to just read it. Like no matter what it is, and some of them are specific to the main story. Some of them are just like interesting little one-offs. Like especially, you know, Dead Letters is a really interesting area, because you can. Like you see all these people like reporting things, and a lot of them aren't anything, and it like they collect everything just to be like, hey, we don't know which is a real AWE or not, you know. So like, you know, they did an amazing job of, kind of making, you know, like Dan was saying, like this entire universe, like their world building was just so amazing, and I think. The whole ending was incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And the ashtray maze.
Yeah, no,
wait
best
until
moments
you see the
of
ashtray maze.
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh my god.
We had a list going of just like things for like, oh, maybe, game of the year, best moments or whatever. And I just beat the game when you sent that, or around that time I beat that. And I was just like, man, I want to talk about the Ashtray Maze. I want that to be up there with like, the ending of Outer Wilds or something like that. And when you put that on there, I was like, yes, that moment was just so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, critically talking about the game, I don't really have much that I don't like about it. The only thing that for me personally, so the checkpointing system is bad. I don't like it.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because I was going to bring
like for me, if they had done a thing where if you're doing a big battle, it was boss battles mostly.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in a boss battle,
those get tough,
and you die, you should just restart at the beginning of the battle.
Yes,
like that's fine. But they bring you to the nearest control point, which are like these little checkpoints you find throughout the world, but sometimes you have to walk like 3 minutes, and it's like that feels like forever if you're dying multiple times, and it's just a little frustrating. And I personally enjoyed the combat throughout, even though it did get a little monotonous. I don't love that the enemies respawned in areas all the time,
especially the end when the
thing with the respawning was that it was so like sometimes, as you were just saying, like you'd go to a boss battle, or say you were trying to do something, sometimes you'd walk there after dying, nothing happens. Yeah. Then you die again. Then you walk there, and then all of a sudden there's enemies that jump up.
Sometimes it'll save. Like I had that too, where I would beat like a room full of enemies, and then I would die in a second room, and then the first room would be completely cleared again. But then other times, and then
they're back. So it's just like, which is not bad that it's sporadic. Like every time they throw some enemy, probably if you're dying, if you kill those enemies, maybe they drop some new stuff. They're just trying to help you out. Yeah, like I get that.
That whole progression system is just unnecessary too. Like The core gameplay I love. The story I really love. Yeah, everything, the visuals, the music, like I love almost everything this game is doing, but they gamified it in a way that just was not necessary. I don't know about you guys, but anytime something will pop up and say, oh, there's this thing that needs to be done in this one area, you have 20 minutes to complete it or whatever.
Stuff like that.
I would just be like, nope, not doing it, ignore it. And it's just so silly. It's so like it's like they had this amazing idea, and then all of a sudden they were like, you know what? How do we get it so that people want to keep playing it? Like almost like a like that's how they're like framing it.
How do we make sure that
which is weird, because they have enough like there are enough side missions in there. I feel I find myself doing all those side missions to begin with, and then those are like you're talking about, just extras. Those pop up a lot.
It's just so strange to see a single player story driven game have like time. Hey, you have 20 minutes to complete this, kill 30 of these guys like an MMO or something. I'm like, what am I playing? It's just bizarre.
True.
But none of that detracts from the experience, except for, like I said, the checkpointing and stuff like that. But, the stuff on the outside, like all the upgrades and the mods, I'm like...
Yeah, I don't think I modded. I think I just increased my health at one point, and I was like, I'm just playing this game. I don't care.
Like, I find myself just literally deconstructing so many mods just to clear up space.
Yeah.
Because, I find these new ones, and, as you progress through the game, obviously the mods are better. I also found out that it's, the mods that you get, it doesn't matter if it's in a certain area. Like, one of the first areas you go to, I didn't explore this one room, and it had, one of those boxes you can get a mod out of. But I did it way later in the game. And
because
it gave me
you're
a really good mod.
Because you're a higher level.
Yeah, so it's it does it based off.
Yeah, it's strange, but that's why I'm saying the majority of the stuff we're talking about is so extraneous that it doesn't, even if it's not what the game is, it's not detracting from it. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So overall, I mean, the places the story goes, I love. I just bought in from minute one about the whole all the FMV stuff, all the video stuff, I'm telling you, the places it goes in the end is so interesting to me. And then even after you beat the game, and I'm not going to say anything, but after beating the game, you can still play.
Yeah.
And the way the world changes because of the events that happened is just so fucking cool. It's so cool. So I'm excited. I mean, when Game of the Year time comes, or if we decide to do a spoiler cast, whatever, at some point we're going to talk in detail about this game, and I'm really excited to dig into it.
I'm hoping to beat it by next week. If I just keep at it.
What platform did you play it on? Are you playing it on?
Base PS4.
Okay.
I see what people are talking about.
Yeah, same. The frame
really
had some issues. I had some real bad issues.
Only issues I've had not during combat whatsoever.
Really?
Only when I pause and unpause. Right away.
It's a delay, you're saying?
Glitches 3 times, and then, not that it glitches, it stops, goes,
freezes,
and then goes again, and it's fine.
See,
I've had no combat.
I would freeze like during combat. The screen would just like stop.
Really?
And then I'd have to.
I haven't run into that
turn
at all.
the PlayStation off, and then Having said that, I still I love the game, and like it didn't. I don't know.
But don't you think that's so weird? Like we're at the end of the PS4's era.
That's why, though.
Come on.
No, but that's why, because they're. The PCs are too far ahead of the consoles because they continue to get better. That's why the last years of a console always have the roughest games, except for first-party games. Like, you look at The Last of Us on the PS4, it came out in 2013.
It's made for that.
It was Last of Us. They worked on, their Sony-owned studio, Naughty Dog. So it's like, you see this on every console generation. Yeah. It's getting bad with this one, though, because the PC... Like, I played on PC... buttery smooth the entire time, no issues, no glitches, no frame rate dips at all. It's consistent. It ran great. So it's like it's frustrating to hear because a lot of the stuff I loved about the game was how visually it was.
Yeah.
So
certain moments.
I'm so happy I'm not having any issues, knock on wood, with frame rate during battles.
That is nice.
I'm not having any issues there. It's just the pausing and then unpause and then it gets glitchy.
Even then, that didn't sour my taste for the game. I loved the combat did get monotonous at times, but holy moly, just the places that it went, and it left me with more questions than answers, which makes me, that might annoy a lot of people. So I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but for me, like I just think it's like it's got this amazing.
Listen,
sci-fi
go
element
out
and
read the collectibles. Like that's all I could say. They're so.
I'm telling you, if you don't think to do that right away, like if you don't read the first collectible and be like, wow, I need to read all of them, then this game's you're crazy. That's not what you're here for.
I know, it's fantastic.
I love it so much. It's great.
What a game.
What a game. We'll talk about another game. I know, Dan, you played through it, and so did I. Sayonara Wild Hearts. Shelby, you haven't touched it yet, right?
Haven't touched it. I'm trying to get that Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
I gotta say, super quick. I picked it up and I beat it in like an hour and a half.
Yes.
Like 2 hours. Like it's a very quick experience.
Yeah, it was legitimately an hour and a half for me too. I really like it.
It's so much fun. It's really good. So satisfying.
Yeah, it's so the quick and dirty pitch of this game is it's kind of it's a mix of a rhythm game with kind of like a sensory visual thing, kind of like Rez. Rez is the best like analog to it, even though it's not exactly like that. But it's a neon, bright, pop, electronic pop music.
And the music is so good. I'm actually listening to the soundtrack like on my way to you. Like I was
it's
like,
so
I
good.
put the soundtrack on and I was listening to it, bopping in my car.
But what I'll say is, so it's kind of like an interactive album. In a way, like
you pick the songs.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the game in general, and then I'll say a couple things. But so it's basically a fast-paced, like runner type game where you're just like moving, like the analog stick left and right. Like the example I would use is in the first level, you're floating down this like
it's like a rainbow road,
looking highway with hearts, and you're just moving left and right to collect the hearts, and like you're on a skateboard, I think,
Dope.
and so the thing where it gets interesting is the perspectives change based on the levels. So like certain levels, you'll all of a sudden go to a side-scrolling area, or you'll go to a behind the back like third-person thing where you're flying.
Yeah, there's a cool virtual reality kind of thing.
Yeah,
where, like,
they do very interesting things with perspective, but it's just the whole style and music and the way everything goes together. And then the very end, that last level is so good that it just makes the whole game so much like even stronger, because the whole time you're kind of going through and meeting these different quote unquote wild hearts, which are like motorcycle gang,
right,
and like just like people, and you're destroying their hearts. Like that's the whole point of the game, is like you're just wrecking them. And you're confused about like really what's going on, and then the last level it just flips it and you're like, oh, this is
that's
awesome.
What it is. Yeah. It's, I gotta say though, I think the word for me for that game is just very satisfying. Like just the gameplay, the music, the visuals, like even the story, at the end you're just like, and it was just
the Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah, you can't beat that.
He said
seriously.
that. He told me that, and I couldn't believe it.
You can't beat
that. It's funny. I'm sorry. Like I didn't think that was so right in the beginning with the intro, I was like, holy shit, that's Queen Latifah. Like I recognized her voice. And then at the end, it's like, we'd like to special thanks to Queen Latifah for being the narrator. And apparently that was like a spoiler that I said it was Queen Latifah. But I was like, I just recognized.
Oh yeah, no, that's like
she just spoke in her regular voice.
Yeah. But people were like, oh my god, seeing at the end that it was Queen Latifah, the narrator, like I lost my mind.
Oh really? Yeah, no, she's iconic.
That's why I was like, oh sorry, I said it last time. But no, I love this game. I think they have a vision for this game, and they did it. They just nailed it.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible front to back.
Super satisfying.
It's awesome. My only qualm is afterwards you unlock this like arcade mode or something. Why wasn't that the original way to play? And then the unlock is you can choose your levels.
Yeah.
Because the only complaint I have is after each level, and some of them are like 90 seconds. It spits you out to a menu and brings you to the next level.
One, the heart breaks
and you have
open,
to hit. Yeah. It'll like tell you the name of the level, and you hit X and you play it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And it's like in the arcade mode, it just goes, and then next level starts, and next level starts. It's like one continuous
How it should
thing.
Be, yeah.
It's just so weird that it seems backwards to me. Yeah,
that's funny. Not funny. That's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange, but that's obviously a very minor gripe. I'm not like saying
it's such a satisfying game, honestly.
As long as you can go to the next level,
right?
Pick it up. Yeah, it's.
But
awesome.
yeah, between the soundtrack and the visuals,
best soundtrack I think of the year. Like it's
very good.
It's up there.
It's very good. It'll definitely be in the discussion. I'll tell you that
for sure.
So yeah, that's Sayonara Wild Hearts. I think it's $20. It's only on Switch.
Yeah, I played on Switch.
Did you?
I think it's on Switch, and I know it's on Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
Which we'll definitely get to. But actually, I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay. See if it's anywhere else.
Yeah, because I think it is.
Speaking of things coming to console, you saw, and I know this was big from
PlayStation 4, Switch, and Apple Arcade.
Oh, it's on. Oh, just not Xbox.
Yep.
All right.
And no PC.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Were you saying something that went?
I was saying, speaking of games coming to consoles and stuff like that, Return of the Obra Dinn coming out.
Yeah,
I know.
crazy.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
I saw a thing the other day, and it reminded me that we were talking about that.
That is exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I have to finally pick that up for the full.
Yeah. I know, right? For the full,
really
for the full experience. Yeah.
We dabbled.
We had an appetizer. I want the full.
But yeah, that's Sayonara Wild Hearts. I definitely highly recommend it. The thing I will say is this is not going to be a game for everybody. You need to like the music and like that style.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Control's the same way though too. It's not.
Yeah, most things are, but I think Sayonara Wild Hearts in particular is like some people might play it and be like, I get what it's doing, but this isn't my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome.
Well, luckily enough, it sounds like it's short enough to where you can kind of get through that anyway.
Yeah, seriously, like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
get through it.
Definitely is. All right, I will talk briefly about Untitled Goose Game, a game that I started and finished. It's another really short one. It's not quite as short as Sayonara Wild Hearts. I think it was about 2.5, 3 hours for me. I heard a lot of people saying 3 to 4 hours. Pitch of the game: it's a isometric, top-down view. You're a goose, and you're just causing all kinds of mischief and havoc. And so literally all your buttons is grab something, honk, or spread your wings out, and then you hold B to run. That's it. So basically you get plopped in. The opening of the game is like you just get plopped into this world. Goose comes out of a bush, and you get to the beginning area, and there's a to-do list if you hit start. And the to-do list will just go through what your basically what your objectives are. So it'll be like, all right, get into the garden. So you're like, okay, I see the garden here. Let me just go in and do it. So you go into the garden. It like crosses off on your to-do list. Then you see it'll be like, all right, get the groundskeeper wet. It's like, well, how the hell do I do that? So there's a sprinkler that you can turn on by the hose nozzle, and if the guy's close to it, you can get him wet, but he never seems to be close, so you can like lure him over there.
Maneuver a way to get him.
You can also, the way that I did it the first time was I took something from his garden and then ran towards the lake, and he comes running after me and steps in the lake, and it like goes
there you go.
crossed out, get the gardener wet. So like just kind of, without going through bit by bit, it's just a really funny, silly game. I really like the look of it. It's not something I would say like, man, this is like one of the best games of the year. But I had a really fun time with it.
There you go.
And it is one of the funnier games
That's awesome.
I've played.
Did you see that article on the titles that it almost had?
Yes.
How funny is it? They had funny ones like Metal Goose Solid, Metal Goose Solid, Honkers Gone Bonkers, Goose on the Loose, Wild Goose Chase, Duck Duck Goose.
That's awesome.
They said there was only one that they were gonna name it. It was called Some Like It Honk. They were like, we almost named it that, but we didn't.
That's great.
It's honestly, it's so charming. I love the look of it. The music goes really well with it, and figuring out how to do some of the puzzles is just so much fun.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd recommend it if that sounds like something you're into.
So many indie games coming out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we spoke. I think a whole ton of them released last time we.
On the day we recorded on the 20th. Yeah. But yeah, that's Untitled Goose Game. I think it's $20. It's on Epic Games Store and Switch only for now. Shelby, I know you've been plucking away at a couple games.
I have. I've been playing.
I know you've
been plucking the goose.
Luigi's Mansion 2. You've been playing. You were talking about it on the last podcast.
Talked about it, loved it, and I finished it. I finally got to the end of it.
And what do you think as a whole?
I really, really enjoyed it because it was like, I think the biggest takeaway that I loved that was different from the first game is that you had different mansions that you went to. Yeah. Which is nice. It made it fun, which actually I think they're even more elaborating on in the third game coming out this month, where every level of the mansion that you're in has like a different setting. Cool. Which sounds pretty cool, so I'm excited for that. But the second one had different mansions that gave you different things to do. Really enjoyed the end of the game. Which had a lot going on. Tons of different kinds of ghosts that come at you and stuff like that. Just a few fun things. You keep upgrading your Poltergust. I think it was called the 2000 in this one. They keep ramping it up by 1,000. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's an older game, but it's great. It's good, I just wanted to play it before the third one came out because it looked exciting. So
that's awesome.
Not too much about it.
Cool.
So, gotta love Luigi's
Mansion. If you like that game, go play.
How's it hold up to the original?
I liked it more than the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. I haven't played the original probably since
I think most people that were fans said that the second one was better.
Yeah, like it was longer, like it had more, not that it's like, not that we're talking about story, like,
but it's more involved.
Yeah, it's definitely more involved. There's more to do.
Cool.
Keep coming back and forth between them, figuring out different stuff. There are like hidden things to find that you wouldn't, if you don't go looking for it, you're not going to find it easily past it. Story's always the same. Mario's in a painting. King Boo's got him. Like that's just how it is. But yeah, super looking forward to the third one.
Cool.
Yeah, it comes out on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing Halloween. Not trick or treat.
Just gonna get up every 10 minutes. Goddamn kids, get away from the door. I'm trying to play a game.
I also heard you finished one of the best games of 2019, Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds, I did it. I know I was talking about it last time that I wanted to just sit down and play it. And once I finished Luigi's Mansion, I was like, I'm sitting down and I'm playing this. And I did, and I beat it, and I had a great time doing it. I still want to keep playing it because I didn't discover everything.
Yeah. But what do you think?
The game's incredible. Yeah. The sense of discovery is just nothing holds a candle to
totally
this, really.
Unmatched,
especially not this year, in my opinion. It really is like you just keep going, and when you think you've discovered so much, there's just so much more to keep discovering. Little pieces where you're reading and you're just like, oh shit, that's what they meant last time, and
the revelations and
absolutely incredible.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking.
Like it's just like there were so many times that the game killed me where I'm like going there and I'm like, I did everything I could do here, and it's like there's more to discover here, and you're like, no, there's not. What are you talking about? And then you go to a different planet and just like all of a sudden wind up in the new place, and you're like, oh,
there it is. Yeah,
that's what it meant. But no, the game is absolutely incredible. Ending, one of the best, probably the best ending to a game that I've played so far this year.
Yeah.
Just those existential moments are holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, and I like games like that without, I don't know if we're spoiling or anything.
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll talk about it
later on.
Year,
but it's like that kind of ending, that kind of like ease,
yeah.
Love it. Love stuff like that.
And it doesn't like shove it down your throat in a way. Like it's just, you're just going on a journey, and all this stuff is just happening, and it's like it's not explicit in like a very, in your face sort of way. It's just like happening. And I feel like it makes it more profound because it feels more like a personal journey,
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. No, I mean, I'm glad you finished it because you know that me and Dan love it so much. Yeah. So that'll be a fun.
I love that game.
It's very good.
It's a good game.
I seriously.
They really I don't know how long they spent in development with this, but this game was hugged and cared for.
Oh yeah,
taken care of as a child.
I remember the first time I played it, I said it's the anti No Man's Sky. Because it's going for the same thing, but instead of infinite worlds and they're all bland, it's here's a certain amount,
most elaborate,
and there's so many little things, and the way everything ties together, like it's
interconnection of everything. It's literally that spiderweb
very special
map.
Game. Yeah. Cool.
Best game of all time. Damn it, I said it.
Could be. Legitimately could be. I think about this a lot because I really care about the game a lot. But anyway, let's move on from Outer Wilds. We've talked a lot about that amongst us.
Yeah, fuck that game.
I'll bring up. I started and finished Link's Awakening.
Oh my gosh, you finished it?
It's short for a Zelda game.
I beat that shit in '87.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, ask me anything about Link's Awakening.
It's exactly the original one from 1991.
Not exactly.
Not 1991, whenever it came out. 93? Yeah.
Well, I think it was 3 and then 97 is when they redid it. I don't care. Whatever it was.
The DX version is what this is based off of, obviously. Yeah. It has the color dungeon, whatever. Right. People that know the difference, whatever. It's not exactly. There are a few minor things. The dungeons are the same. Everything is... It's the same game. It's similar to, well, not really, but
gotta wake that windfish.
Yeah, it was a great Zelda game before. It's a great Zelda game now. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. I am super happy to be playing it again. Mm-hmm. It feels really good. I love the way it looks. Same annoying parts like the boulders in that one dungeon, just as annoying as they were. Same high moments, when you learn certain things and the way the bosses interact with you. Yeah. Like, it hits all the same beats in the right way. I have no bad things to say about this game. I love it. I think the soundtrack is incredible. They did such a good job redoing all that music. Yeah. It's amazing. I think it's going to be interesting when we do Best Soundtrack this year with Game of the Year because Cadence of Hyrule came out this year.
Yeah.
And it has a really good soundtrack, and it's going to be a fun discussion. But I just love this game. It's always been one of the best ones, and this is the best version of it. So I can't recommend it enough. It was great.
Is it like a sort of when we talked about when they redid Shadow of the Colossus, and it was like, well, this is the definitive version.
That's exactly what it is. It's the same game. It looks great. I love the way it looks. I love the music. They did a few really minor little tweaks to make it a little bit better. But otherwise, it's the same game. This is the version that you should play if you want to play Link's Awakening in moving forward.
I think the most exciting thing that I saw different, not just the side, like instead of having the shifting pages and stuff, like it's constant scrolling, but you don't have to constantly equip some things, right? You can, once you have the jump ability, you have a button and you can jump. No? I thought that was a thing.
No, that'd be nice. That's not a thing.
I thought that was a thing. Damn.
No, you got to equip the
item.
Even
like the power bracelet and stuff?
So the power bracelet is...
Constantly equipped.
Yeah. But I don't remember if that was...
I think you had to keep equipping stuff like that. That was the thing.
But most of them you still do.
Maybe not the jump. Maybe
the jump is a feather. Yeah, but you're right. I think the power bracelet, and they stack on top of each other. Like when you get the super power bracelet or whatever, you just have it. It's not two different items.
Because I'm pretty sure you had to like equip all that stuff in the old one. Because that was the only version I played was the DX version.
It's been a few years. I actually played it maybe like 5 years ago, something like that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's been a few years. It's been like 20 years. You're okay.
No,
you don't have to...
I remember I dug it out and played it, but they could have definitely gone further in quality of life stuff like that. Like if you could, equip The hard part is they account for with the Switch. They account for people playing with a sideways Joy-Con, which is annoying because that always handicaps their games where they should be able to make quick select in the bottom left, up, left, right, down buttons. Yeah, but they can't do that in case they're Of course. So what I would like to do is like hey, I want to put the hook shot and the boomerang and this and that on those. So let me just put them on the face buttons. But
make it nice and easy. Did you run into any of the frame rate issues?
Yes. That is the only thing. The thing that I'll say is I only played a little bit handheld. The rest I played docked.
Okay. But with both controllers?
Yeah. What I'm saying for the performance. I did not notice much of a difference between docked and handheld as far as performance. It was consistently stuttery. When you're in the overworld, especially when there's a lot of stuff going on the screen. When you're in the dungeons, I got nothing. But in big open areas, I did get some frame rate stutter. That is not a make or break thing. This is not. It's frustrating. I wish it didn't happen, but it's not. It's not the end of the world. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. I know a lot of people are talking a lot about it.
I just know some people we were talking about control. You were running into different issues than I was. I was wondering if some people run into.
No, this is going to be. This is how it is. This is it across the board. That's you just got to accept it.
How much is it? How much would you rave about it to someone that's played the original one 5-6 times? I mean, and I am going to get it, but I'm curious. If is it this is a must play? You need to play this version of it.
I can't say that because this isn't Resident Evil 2 remake. That's
actually where my line of thinking was going. It was where Resident Evil 2 was a new.
That's a new game.
Yeah.
This is not a new game.
It's just a remake. Yeah.
But it does enough. I think the style, the look of it, the music, like I said, it does enough where it's hey, maybe this isn't something I need to go play this right now if you played it 10 times. Mm-hmm. But it is something that you're going to want to have for next time you feel like playing it. This is the version you want to play.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I could describe it because, it's the same thing. I mean, I made sure I didn't rob the shopkeeper because I care about him. Just like I did when I was a kid.
Kills you in the
I would not steal from this man.
I like how we're looking for affirmation here. We're you could say this is the worst game ever. I'm gonna go play it.
Oh yeah, no, that's still being bought and played. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean,
we're just sitting here sell me on it,
Yeah, we're already sold when they said,
completely.
Zelda game. Yeah, all right, it's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. I'm, I love this game before. I love it now.
Take my money.
So yeah, I mean, it's $60 only on Switch. Obviously, it's a Nintendo game. So yeah, pick it up. Let's talk about. Dan, you and I both played a game. I don't know how you feel about it. It was a little bit of a disappointment to me.
Oh, yeah, Blasphemous?
Blasphemous. I'm assoming you feel the same way.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, he must feel the same.
I listened to the podcast that I missed. And I said, you guys did a wonderful job. And why are you laughing?
Well, we had 10 views. It's nice to know that you're one of them.
I definitely did, yes. But anyway, so, I think you already explained a little bit about it. It's like a Castlevania-like. Very, very cool art style. Got a lot of religious iconography. Yeah. And that stuff was my favorite part of the game. I like. It reminds me very much. I don't know if you guys are into old movies, but if you ever saw The Seventh Seal, Ingmar Bergman, it's got this very Middle Ages Catholic, but the guilt and
it's very over the top big shots of a cross and stuff. It's very it's going for that and it nails it. I think
nails
that's
it
awesome.
Amazing. And even
cross nailed.
Shelby's going to hell.
That's amazing.
But it definitely nails that stuff. And
all right, go on.
2 for 2.
Anyway, but the moments where it has that sort of the way that I feel about I know it talks about it, a Bloodborne or Dark Souls, where you just walk past a certain area and it's so unnerving and so weird. Where you'll see someone just kind of sitting in the corner whipping themselves, and you just see blood splashing, and it's got that
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, there's this one guy. I don't think this is spoiling anything because he's right in the beginning. This guy ties himself up in knots. Even his face is covered in knots, just because he feels so guilty and he's trying to repent for his sins and stuff like that. And every character you come across and every enemy you come across is got this grotesque and also this just like very sad, tragic, guilt-ridden feel that actually like it freaks me out in a way that I'm more intrigued.
Yeah, it works.
It doesn't like push me away. Like, most people would be like, ugh. For me, it's like, oh, I'm really like interested.
It's a very
in a weird,
cohesive
sick
style,
way.
And they do it really well.
Having said that, the game itself and
is where
it's not even the gameplay, but it's just the game. It's just not the game's not interesting enough. Where you're going to these certain areas or fighting certain bosses, and it's very bland. The world's amazing. But
everything about it, the bosses, they look amazing. Like I like everything about it. It's just the actual act of playing the game is not enjoyable.
I agree.
To me.
I feel like it's very bland.
This is the messenger again.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
Where like I want to love this game. There's so much I like about it, but I'm just not enjoying it. And when there's so many games coming out, I can't.
I've dropped it. Not that I won't go back to it, but I mean I got a decent amount of the way in it. But yeah, it looks amazing. It intrigues me, but it's just not giving me any sort of substance for the for the style.
Completely agree.
And that's just how I feel about Blasphemous. And I really wanted to like it because when I think Shelby, you sent the trailer like when it first came out.
I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I think we would like this game.
It looks awesome.
Saddened to hear about that.
Yeah, and not that maybe it gets better, but I've played a decent amount. If I've put in like maybe 10 hours, that's
that's a lot.
And I'm willing to say that. All right, like
we talked about this on a past podcast where it's like we're in a day and age where so much is coming out that if it's not enough for you,
you
don't have to finish it. Like
don't gotta put a ring on everything.
That's right.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's Blasphemous. I want to. The last thing I want to talk about is Apple Arcade. So let's get through the rest of these here. I have 3 more games on this list that all recently come out. I have Mutazione. This is
we talked about
I'm only
this.
laughing because of Dan's face. But this is I have to use, we do it all the time, but I have to use Night in the Woods here because it's going for a very similar thing of here's a narrative adventure game type of thing where a lot of dialogue is how you're experiencing the story. It's back and forth text bubbles. You're not doing a ton as far as like, in-game actions. And then what happens is, so the whole beginning of the game is your mom is giving you a hug. You're on like the dock ready to get on this ship. And you're spending the summer at this island called Mutazione. And it's an island where a meteor hit and all of its inhabitants became mutated. So there are like, sentient, like plant-looking guys. There are like bugs that, can talk. And there are like, big rock people. There's all these different mutants. And your grandfather lives on that island because your grandfather and your grandmother started a family there. They moved from like a small apartment on the mainland, like whatever country it is that's nearby. And they went to that place, had a family. They had, your mom and your grandma left. And you don't know why, but you're kind of like parsing out the details as you talk to people. Your grandma always spoke poorly of your grandpa, but basically you and your mom got a letter from your grandpa's like best friend that was like, hey, I know you haven't been in touch, but he really wants to meet you guys. He's dying. And so that's why you're going there. You're spending your summer there. You're probably a late teenager, maybe like a high school senior or junior or something. And your character Kay or Kai, however you want to pronounce it, she goes there for the summer, and it's just you like learning about what your grandpa does and meeting all the townspeople, and it's just like awesome. It's just so good.
Oh, you're enjoying it?
Oh, nice. It's great. The writing's great. All the little breadcrumbs they give you that like give you little, about where the story's going is awesome. The look of this game, it's beautiful. The music is great. Like, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm so curious to get through it. Once I finish it, I'll have more solid thoughts. But as of right now, I played maybe about 2 hours, something like that, nice. and I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome, man.
So that's Mutazione. I think it is on PS4 and PC, it's about $20.
Nice.
Definitely, from what I played, I would recommend it. Also, another game similar in some ways and not in others is Later Alligator. Have you heard about this game, Shelby?
No, I haven't.
So this game is more of like a point and click adventure game where it's like a first person view. You walk into a room and it's like this, and you're just looking at like a scene, and then you click on a person to talk to them. And the whole thing is everybody in the town, it's Alligator, New York City is the name of the town. And everyone is actual alligators. And it's just probably like one of the funniest games I've ever played. Like, it is so silly and ridiculous. And basically the whole point is like you're a private eye that was hired by this kid named Pat, who thinks that his family is gonna like kill him. He thinks they're like it's like a mafia type thing. Like, he's like, I must have squealed because they're all after me. Like, it's this whole thing. And as you're like talking to his different relatives and people that know him, you're realizing like, I think he's just paranoid and like nothing is gonna like, it's his birthday and it's like it might be his birthday party that they're throwing. The event is like what he thinks is like him getting killed
by his family.
So basically the game is like you go to these different areas. Like an early one is you walk into an arcade and there are different characters and you can talk to them, and in order, like, basically you pull out a pen and paper and it's like you have 3 questions. It's whom, Pat, and then the event. Those are the 3 things you can ask anyone in the game. That's it. So you ask and you basically learn about who this person is and stuff like that, how they know Pat. And then it's like, all right, if you want to hear about the event, you got to do this. And it's like it'll put you in a mini game. So I don't want to spoil too much, but like one early one is like, all right, there's this guy named Slick Mickey, and he does 3 card Mickey, or 3, I think that's what it's called, where you have the cards and you shuffle them around and you got to find the right one, the queen or whatever. So he does it and he's just so terrible at it that like he moves the cards like really slow and he doesn't even touch the one that you're supposed to touch. So you click on it and it like slides around the table and then it burns up and then he grabs it and eats it and he's like, oh, who knows if you want it or not. Like, it's just gag after gag of just hilarious, like awesome little mini games. And it's just, the music is great. Like the look of this, if you see, like all you got to do is look at a screenshot or like a short clip, and it's like just the way the art moves and the way these characters like mug at the camera, it is so funny. I really like this game a lot. It's only on PC right now on Steam. I think it's $17 or $18. I really would recommend it.
Later Alligator.
It's so funny.
Like it.
It's so funny. Last one to talk about before we get into Apple Arcade, which is a lot more games than Apple Arcade to talk about. Last one is Noita. You guys heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Noita, no.
This just came out in early access. This is the one you probably have seen GIFs of it or something. It's a side-scrolling game where you play as a wizard, but everything, it's all about physics and interactions, like elemental interactions in the world. So like, if a piece of wood catches fire, the fire will spread and then like fall down and it could like knock through the ground, or like it's just it's like a physicsy based like roguelike where you're doing runs through. Like I'm sure
I think so. I think
this is
it's like super pixelated or something.
Yes,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it just came out in early access for the first time, and it's so cool, but it's so hard.
Oh,
like
really?
I really, really like it because it's one of those kind of roguelikes where you'll find something in the environment. You'll find like a wand, and it'll be like, oh, here are these spells on the wand. You don't know what they are. Yeah, that's it. Dan just showed me a picture of it.
Yeah, I remember. I think I saw it on like Reddit or something like that.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Everyone's been like
awesome.
in love with this
posting
for a
about
long
it.
time.
Yeah.
And it just came out, and it like you'll pick up a wand, and it'll just under like the spell slot, it'll just show an image of what it is. But you don't know what it is. So like one time I had this thing, like I had this great run going, and I bought this wand that was like this, it said it had like a nuke or something. I was like, man, a nuke, like I could probably do a lot with a nuke. So I take the wand out, and I see some enemies, and I'm like, all right, they're far. A nuke probably has a big explosion. I shoot a nuke. It goes pretty far, explodes. I die instantly because the explosion radius is like enormous for this nuke. And I'm just like, God damn it. So it's a true roguelike in that you learn through your experiences. Yeah. They're not telling you what things do. They're not letting you try things. There was one time where I got this thing that had like a void. It shot out like these orbs that ate through any material. Because a lot of this is like, hey, there's a treasure chest or an upgrade behind this wall, but it's made of concrete. I don't have anything that can get through concrete right now, so I can't get through it. But if it's a wood thing, I might get fire on it and then throw water at it. Like, you're solving stuff like that, but naturally in the world. It's not like they're set up for you. It's all randomly generated. It's a roguelike. So when I had the thing that ate through any material, I bought the wand. I was like, oh, this is going to be so useful. And I shoot it in because there's right where you buy the wand, it's called the Holy Mountain or something. And it's all brickwork and stuff. So usually I get a wand and I'll shoot it at the ceiling and try it out. I'm like, oh, pretty cool, whatever. Yeah. I shoot this void thing and it eats through this brickwork.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's you angered the gods. And this being comes down and just kills me in one shot immediately. Oh, and I was like, I was just trying out my new wand. I was so upset. But it's just full of stuff like that, and that's totally up my alley. I love stuff
punishing
like that.
And
so awesome. Brutal, but it's you learn, and then you get through the At first you're I haven't even found an exit to get to this shop thing. I'm just trying over and over and dying, but it's really really good.
Cool. Reminds me of Below when you get items and you're just not
you're
so what is this?
Here's the difference. Below is a game that I really, really like, but have legitimate gripes with. That could have been one of my favorite games ever if it did it right.
Yeah.
But it was a little too punishing in some ways where if you lose a lantern on the 40th floor, you can't get it back.
Yeah,
because you can't get back there without your lantern. It was frustrating. This game has it's more of a pure roguelike where not a lot of stuff's carrying over. Mm-hmm. You're just respawning and starting over. You know what I mean?
Again, yeah.
So yeah, that's Noita. It's really good.
That sounds awesome.
How do you spell that?
Noita.
Okay.
And it's on Steam early access right now. I think again it's $15 or $20.
Cool.
Really recommend it. All right, so let's jump into Apple Arcade. I know we're already short on time, but I have a lot of Apple Arcade games to talk about.
Nice. Nice. Like I said, I tried to jump in, but my freaking iPad's too old. I can't get iOS 13.
Damn it.
That is so frustrating. It is free for the first month if you have an iPhone. Yeah. It's coming to Apple TV.
Yeah, I think it's on Apple TV.
It might be on it now.
Really?
I know it's on iPad, iPhone, Apple TV, and it's coming to Mac later this month.
Wow. And so something I should tell everybody that's interested in this is they made Bluetooth controllers, which is Xbox One and PS4, compatible with iPhone so that you can play it on your iPhone with a controller.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
Which is pretty amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
So if you don't like touchscreen controls for certain games, you're fine.
Holy.
So really, really cool. Everyone that likes games and has an iPhone should get Apple Arcade for the free month.
Yeah.
Because there are so many amazing games on this. There's just no reason not to do it. It's awesome. I'll talk about some standouts and then
tell us these amazing games, Daniel.
Yeah. So I would say right now there are 3 or 4. So aside from the ones, so Mutazione is actually on Apple Arcade. Awesome. Sayonara Wild Hearts on Apple Arcade. I did not play them on that, and those are more. Overland is on Apple Arcade, so those games are more. I want to say console driven than a lot of these games that work really well on here. There's a game called Grindstone by Capybara Games, who actually made Below.
Yeah.
And that is it's like what the hell do you call it? Where you're matching, gem type stuff.
Tetris.
No,
Candy Crush?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that style of game, but it's more fleshed out, and that is meant for an iPhone.
Yeah. Do you think they put these other games on there to attract them more?
Oh, definitely. But I'm sure they work fine. But what I'm trying to say is I think there's a distinction where I'm not really considering, and maybe this is just a me thing, where I'm Sayonara Wild Hearts, not an Apple Arcade game to me. You know what I mean? I don't recommend you play it on the small screen,
right?
Where you might, your audio is coming out of this little thing. Play it on the Switch on a TV.
Get the full experience.
Yeah. Mutazione, same thing. It's these aren't really these kind of games. So the ones that I'm going to talk about that are these kind of games. Grindstone I mentioned. It's like a match. there's different colors of things, and you need to like match them in a line. But what's really cool about this is it's like a RPG kind of. So like you're matching to like kill these monsters, and if you get 10 or more in a chain, so it's like a 5x10 grid or something, right? Okay. And if you match like 10, you can go diagonal and match them and wrap around. Then a grindstone comes out. It's this gem that pops out, and it allows you to chain and then go through the stone, and then you change your color. So like initially it's like, all right, there's green monsters, blue, yellow, and red. So you're killing. You get 10 green ones, and then a grindstone. Then you can switch to yellow and get a bunch. So you're making these huge chains with the different stones. It's really satisfying. The soundtrack's amazing. I like this game a lot. It does not. There are 2 games in particular on here that I think are like bona fide, like could be on a top 10 game of the year list.
Wow.
Grindstone is not that for me. I think it's a fun iPhone game where if this came out years ago, and it's like, oh, this is a cool iPhone game, try it. Be like, oh, this is awesome, and play it. What the Golf and Card of Darkness are 2 games that could have come out on anything, and I would have said this is like one of my favorite games this year.
I've heard a lot of good things about What the Golf.
Yeah. So What the Golf, I'm going to give you the best pitch I can give you. This is how it starts. There's a ball. There's a flag. It's a golf game. It's like a mini golf type game. You pull it back. You let go. The ball goes in the direction. There's a power meter depending on how far you pull back. You let go. It hits the pin. Hole. Got it. Passed. Right. Next one. Same thing, and what happens is you pull back and you let go, and the ball starts going towards the hole, and the hole moves, slides away, and you miss the hole. It's like, okay, so now you aim for the spot where the hole ends up, and you got it. Next. Now you're behind the ball. You have a guy standing there like ready to hit a drive, right? So there's a little man like with the golf club. You pull back, you let go, and the man goes flying instead of the ball, and he's flying down the thing, and then you keep pulling back, and you have him hit the pin, and you're good. You pass.
With like ragdoll mechanics.
Oh yeah, big time ragdoll. This game is huge into physics, like silly things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Next hole looks like the first hole. It's just the ball, the pin. You pull back. You let go, your power meter flies instead of the ball, and it's spinning in the air like this like arrow looking thing, and it hits the pin, and you pass.
That's awesome.
That is like a perfect pitch of what this game is. But I finished it. I beat it. It's probably about 3 hours or so.
Really? That many little... Yeah. That's awesome.
I think there's over 100 holes.
Wow. That's awesome.
They are so good and so smart, and they continue to think of funny and smart ideas.
It never gets old?
It never got old for me ever, because they change it so much, and I'm not going to... This is that game where what I just told you is all I want to tell you.
Yeah.
Play the rest, because some of the references they have are great, and I don't really like referential humor a lot, but some of these references are amazing. Some of the things they do with the music is amazing. Some of the things they do with like what an iPhone can do controls-wise is amazing. Like... It just surprises you over and over again, and it is hilarious and so much fun and so satisfying to play.
Awesome.
It's amazing. You need to download it.
I literally wanted to play this game, and I couldn't before. I wanted to play before this podcast and couldn't because of my stupid iPad.
You're going to love it. It's amazing. So really, seriously, highly recommend What the Golf. It's actually out on PC now, and it's coming to consoles. I know it's coming to Switch.
Oh, nice.
It's really good on the phone, so don't feel like you have to get it on a Switch. If you have an iPhone, get it on the phone. It's awesome on there.
Nice. I'm gonna have to do that.
But it is on Epic Games Store for $20. It's definitely worth that if you prefer that over the phone. I say, hey, it's fine on phones.
Okay.
The other one that I mentioned, Card of Darkness. Card of Darkness is one of the smartest card. I joked earlier in the year that this is like the year of the card-based RPG or whatever. You know what I mean? Like between Slay the Spire and then
Dicey Dungeons and
Griftlands.
Yeah.
Dicey Dungeons was so good.
Right? I love Dicey Dungeons.
So between all of that, this game is much different than those. They all have their own unique thing. Those are not the same type of game, but this is, picture a grid similar to what I said with Grindstone, but shorter. It might be like 4x5 or something like that. And each one of the spots can have a card. So they're piles, like solitaire kind of, right? So in the front row, you have 5, little columns.
Yeah.
And they have a pile, and you can see how many cards are in the pile. So it might be 2 on the leftmost one, there are 2 cards, and then you see 3, there's 1 here. And what you need to do is get to the ending. And it might be like top row, third from the left, there's a little exit. And on the face-up cards, because on each pile there's a face-up card in the beginning, is different. So it could be a health potion, because you are a character with a health bar, and what you're doing is the card can be an enemy, it could be a weapon, or it could be a potion. This is like the basic idea. It gets more involved, but so if it's an enemy, say the enemy has a value of 4. If you hit that enemy with no weapon, you take 4 damage. Okay? But the card is gone.
Yeah.
And you need to get rid of cards to get to that end. So you're getting through piles and you're choosing. Now the shtick is when you touch a pile, so say you're like, oh, there's a healing potion over here. I need that healing potion or I can't get further. If you can't just take the healing potion off the top and then keep going. Because when you get to that exit, the only way it opens up is if all the piles that you touched are now empty. So once you touch a pile, you have to clear the pile. So if there's a pile of 5 cards, the potion's on top, but the rest are enemies, you have to kill all those enemies if you're going to leave. Wow. So you're picturing it, right? Like, yeah. I think I did a decent job of like explaining that.
Yeah.
Where it gets interesting is it continuously piles on new mechanics. Like, all right, instead of just a regular healing potion, this is a potion of patience. And it will go up by 1 health healed per turn. So if you see it, because it has to be facing up in order for it to count up.
Yeah.
You might get to it and say, all right, I'm leaving it, go somewhere else, tap 10 different cards. Now it's a healing of 11 instead of a 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Little things like that, and the way that the different enemies interact with you, this is such a deep, amazing like combat system. I love it. The weapon, basically what weapons do, I didn't explain, is say you pick up a sword that has a value of 4. If you kill an enemy that has 4 or less, you don't take any damage. If it has 6, you take 2 damage.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
But it's even and odd numbers. So if you have a 5 sword and you kill a 4 enemy, you won't take any damage because the sword's higher, but your sword breaks.
Okay.
Because you had an odd sword, you hit an even enemy.
Yeah.
So you're like balancing, all right, I want to get this even guy down. Now I can grab the odd sword and kill the odd enemy. So it's very involved. It is so smartly done, and like it's just an amazing game. I love it so much.
That's awesome.
I should also mention the art is by Pendleton Ward, who did Adventure Time. So it's like
cool.
Nice.
Amazing, beautiful art on all the enemies and all the worlds and everything. The music is like incredible, like one of the best soundtracks of the year, easily. It's so good. Card of Darkness is legit a game that like, if this service was $5 a month, like, and it just had that, I'd be like, I might pay $5 a month for this game. Like, it's that good. I've cleared like 5 areas. There's a boss battle like every other area. That are, they're all different. They're really interesting. I can't get enough of this game. I think it's amazing.
I know my homework for the week.
Yeah. Card of Darkness and What the Golf. Those are 2 games. It couldn't be more different than each other, but those 2 alone are what would sell you like this is an amazing service with great games. Cool. So like, I played a bunch of others. I'll mention briefly. I'm not going to go into each of them, but Mini Motorways is a really fun. There was a game called Mini Metro that came out on phones a little while ago. The same developers, similar type of game. It's these buildings spawn in. So like houses spawn and factories spawn. You need to make roads that get the person from the house to the factory to work, right? As the game goes on, it's like in real time, like it's ticking down, and then a house will spawn, and a house will spawn, and a house will spawn, and a factory will spawn, and you're like, spinning plates trying to, all right, I need to connect this to this road to get there. It's really, really fun. It's not like, of the same caliber. Yeah. But it's very nice looking. It's slick. It plays great. I also played Exit the Gungeon.
Oh, I've heard about that one.
Well, Enter the Gungeon.
Enter the Gungeon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was a game that I played a couple of years ago. Yeah. It's a fun little indie like roguelike. Exit the Gungeon switches from like an isometric Diablo point of view to a 2D side scroller. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. That's a game I would want a controller with.
Okay.
That game, it's like you got to jump and shoot and aim and
a lot to it.
Yeah, with the phone, it's not great. Yeah. But again, you can put a controller on your phone.
Yeah,
really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I know. When it comes to Mac, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
just,
seriously.
Popping a controller.
Seriously,
awesome.
Yeah,
you know,
it's cool. So I'll leave it at that for Apple Arcade. If I find anything else that I really, really like, I'll mention it on the next couple. But I think it's an awesome service. They have so many good games, and if you factor in Sayonara Wild Hearts and Mutazione and whatever else is on there, that's also on other stuff. I mean, I think this is just an awesome service. So yeah, first month's free. No reason not to do it. They're great games.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Apple Arcade. And I think let's just briefly. I think we pretty much are done here. We had a ton of games to talk about. I think we covered a lot of stuff. But let's just briefly talk about the Sony State of Play that happened last week.
Mm-hmm. No Ratchet and Clank. I'm pissed.
There's really only 3 things that I think are like super relevant. And the big one obviously is Last of Us Part 2 release date, February 21st, 2020.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, it's called that one. And Watam by Keita Takahashi, the guy that made oh my god, Katamari. Yeah. Guy, I was like brain fart. I couldn't think of Katamari. I love Katamari.
Tom by the guy who made Watam.
Keita Takahashi, Katamari and those games, they're just so awesome and so fun, and like the whole style of that is in Watam, and I'm just so excited to play that game. That comes out December. They announced it. We've known about the game for a long time, but they announced that it's coming out this December. And Humanity, we saw briefly and Luminous, and it looks like it's interesting. It looks a little bit different for that.
I was when I'm first watching, I'm like, but what is it?
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I don't understand.
Oh,
and then you keep watching, and you're like, oh, no, still don't get it.
But the Sony State of Play, they're certainly not as exciting as Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, because that's the second one this year, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But I just wanted to mention a couple of those things. We don't have to go into crazy detail about every little thing. But I think that's going to do it for the show, guys, unless you have anything else you want to add.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to finishing up Control.
Yeah.
I have the Surge too. I can't wait to play the Surge.
I know, you haven't even touched it yet.
You
know what? Like I said, I'm working one at a time.
Control.
So I finished Luigi's, finish Outer Wilds, finish Control, then I'm going right into the Surge.
Awesome.
So I'm excited.
We have a lot of homework for sure. Yeah.
Get that Apple Arcade, guys.
Yeah. I'm trying. Trust me.
Thank you, Professor.
All right. Well, thanks, Show, for being here.
Of course.
Thank you, Dan, for being here.
Thank you, bud.
And thank you guys out there for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Circle Back Podcast. Until then, peace.